Damn, the fact that I'm able to make noises like this is so uncomfortable. Anyway, welcome to Katawa Shoujo. Lynx here. We shall continue the lovely Lilly's route. Because Lilly is lovely and we want to see where that route is going, right? Let's go. I snap upwards out of my sheets and sit bolt upright in bed as if an electric shock had just run through my entire body. The night air feels cold against the sweat on my bare skin. My breathing short and racked nearly to the point of hyperventilation. Mind racing. I bring my hand to my head in an attempt to soothe my body's panicked state. It takes me a number of seconds to realize my hand is shaking violently, even as I press it against my face. I actually can do it. I don't know, I always was able to, shake my hands for, in a weird way, kind of. Whatever. More seconds pass in complete silence, my desperate attempt to subdue my body and mind slowly, thankfully, working. Gathering myself, I start taking measure of a state I'm in. It feels like I've run a marathon. Every muscle feeling tensed and sweat practically pouring off me. I carefully direct my attention to the beating in my chest, measuring out the rate in my head. Sure enough, my unreliable heart is functioning properly for once. Just, what the hell was that? A heart attack? A pet nightmare? Medicine side effects? I've heard about panic attacks and this does seem to have the hallmarks of one. I can't really assess. I guess medicines have side effects that can cause some weird stuff. And also, I can only say actually about nightmares, I guess. Well, I don't have those often, but, from nightmares, there were a few instances where I would woke up from nightmares being all in sweat, but nothing more than that, really. If anything, I have problems to fall asleep, to be fair. And it's not really, problems with anything like nightmares. Anyway, I can't even be bothered thinking about it right now. I feel utterly exhausted yet completely awake after this experience. I look over to the other side of my bed. The pale white of the sun fierce face almost glowing in the nighttime darkness of the room. Just the sight of her is enough to calm me down significantly. What is she? What? How come we... What? Okay, I did not expect that. Not that I'm complaining, I just didn't expect that. Her graceful demeanor persists even while she's asleep. Her perfectly measured breathing and gentle face make it impossible to tell whether she's awake or truly sleeping. Giving it to temptation, I'll delicately run my fingertips over her hand. Her skin is so soft to the touch, as it always has been, yet warm even the cold night. It's at times like this, I silently appreciating each other's presence, that I feel we're closest. My fingers stop at her wrist and I bring my hand back down to the bed, but beside me. I'm not entirely sure why, but we came ever closer to each other. It felt as if something grew between us. The bond? I'm not entirely sure what it is, nor whether it existed before we'd fallen in love. I don't know, but we got there, so... Everything is moving so fast. I don't mind it at all, but it feels unlikely to be pushing things this much. What's the secret? What's the secret for that, exactly? Thankfully, there aren't any students milling around in the hallways at this hour of the morning, lest I be interrogated on why I'm carrying 2 plates of breakfast to my room while dressed in an obviously hastily donned uniform. I'm hungry and one plate was not enough for that food. That isn't to say things like this never happen, of course. A single security guard patrolling between two sets of bedrooms situated right next to each other is a very small force compared to the adolescent hormones. Come to think of it, the fact that it's Monday morning probably helps. I'm not really sure why, but Mondays seem to bother me less than they do most others. What? He takes a little creative use of my hands and elbow, but eventually I manage to work the door to my dormitory room open. Stepping inside, I see Lily just getting up from the bed and thoroughly rubbing her eyes. She looks a mess, just like most other times I've seen her soon after she wakes up. I don't mind. She really isn't a morning person. Same. Sorry, I didn't mean to wake you up. She grudgingly shakes her head. The morning light illuminating her makes for a very pleasant sight. It's okay. I needed to get up anyway. What time is it? I put my plate down by the desk and turn the clock around to check the time. Still early, don't worry. There is plenty of time left before school. She sits on the side of the bed and begins to sniff the air. As she does so, I quickly move her plate away and put it on the desk beside mine. Yeah, I got us some breakfast. Shower and clothes come first though. Or second! She stands still for a moment with her chin pointed slightly out. I gladly acquiesce and press my lips scarce, savoring the soft feeling before breaking off. With a small sweet smile, apparently quite satisfied, she slowly makes her way to the showers. But here's one problem I have. We are in a male's dorms right now. Dormitory. I stretch to try and wake myself up a little more. Briefly looking at the steaming dishes on the desk. Rice, fish, miso soup and some vegetables. A standard breakfast for a somewhat unusual day. I grab the bowls from the desk and start taking my daily regimen of pills. Sometimes I wonder what these things are even good for, given all the troubles I've had since the initial accident. You have not taken them on that day? I can even say that it doesn't hurt to take them, considering the side effects so far. Well, whatever. Doctor's orders are that I have to take them, and rationality suggests that I'd be well served to trust his judgment over mine. It doesn't take long for the noise of the shower to cease, a quick one apparently being fine for given the circumstances. What circumstances? Emerging from the bathroom. Also, since when do we have a bathroom in our own room? Yo. This is suspicious. She looks significantly more awake, having had the chance to collect herself. Without word, I gently take her hand in mine and guide her to my desk. Considering I don't have a table in my room as she does, it will have to do. Also, about those 2 plates and so on, who said that you are not getting food for your neighbor next door, right? You can probably easily sneak past all those. Patrolmen. Thank you, Hisao. What did you prepare for breakfast? Just rice and some vegetables. Something fast. That's not something fast. You know what's fast? Toasts. Her face lights up at the revelation. That's quite a breakfast. This is normal for you? No, she's just being nice. I have little doubt, considering her past, that this isn't exactly a high-class meal by her standards. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Just because we are students doesn't mean we can take it lightly. Sure. That's my belief anyway. From what others I've talked to have said, I might be in the minority. Yeah. A quick toast and you're good to go. Even though I hadn't had those in ages. Because braces. I mean, technically I probably could, but... I mean, it would be a pain in the back to get rid of those pieces from between the braces, right? I take a seat on the side of my bed and begin eating together with Lilly, her chopsticks lightly tapping out the outlines of the vegetables just as I'd noticed her do during our date.
This is quite nice, Hisao. I had no idea you could cook this well.
But this time she's much more genuine. I can tell that much. That said, cooking really isn't anything special at all. After a bit of practice, it's pretty easy to make a simple dish. Most of the credit goes to modern technology. Still, after years cooking for myself, I should hope so. I got bored of eating instant noodles and ordering pizza every time my parents were both working, so I taught myself how to make a few meals. This is this guy basically speaking. Except I was not ordering pizza. I'm still trying to get the knack for... But yeah.
You'll make a good wife someday, Hisao.
Thank you. I take a grain of rice and place it onto my thumb before carefully taking aim and giving it a good flick. Lily jumps, a little as it hits her cheek right on target. I can't help chuckling at her expense as she lowers her brow and tries her best to assume a harsh and serious expression.
Oh, that's right.
What is it?
Did you have any problem sleeping last night? You seemed restless.
So she was awake back then, or at least partly so. Where it was my heart or a nightmare caused by side effects of my medicine, the last thing I want is for her to be worrying about me even more. Even before my relationship with Lilly, I'd felt my body was a drag on everything I did. My body is my burden alone, so as long as I'm with her, I continue to act as normally as possible.
No, not particularly. Is that so? That's good then.
Luckily, she seems to take me at my words. I don't really understand why I would lie about that, but okay. I mean, you don't want her to get worried, okay? Fair enough, but still.
Come to think of it, there was something else I wanted to ask.
Go on. Oh.
How should I put it? When you dream, do you see people and objects?
Well, yeah. Yeah, of course. I feel more than a little sheepish for that slip of the tongue. However earnest it may be, Lee looks unperturbed for.
But you don't taste, feel, nor smell things.
I do. I think. No, I definitely do. I'm not sure about taste. I don't remember eating anything in my dreams. But definitely feel. Yeah. I remember. Be it physical or mental, yes. Feel, yes. Smell, yes. Also yes. Yeah. I moved to answer, but find myself stuck before thinking about it. Right? I mean, you need to think about it. The more I moved over, the more I realized that her hypothesis is correct.
Except, in my case, it wasn't.
That's true, I guess. I never looked at it that way. Are you saying that you do?
For the most part, I only hear in dreams. But yes, sometimes I touch and smell things as well. I'm just asking since Akira thought it very strange that I did when I brought it up with her. If you don't either, then maybe it's due to my blindness.
That would make sense? Question mark? You rely on your other senses more than me, so maybe that affects your dreams as well. The wonders of the human body, I guess. For the rest of the time before school, we quietly eat the hearty breakfast in front of us, exchange a few small pieces of small talk as we do. A quick peek out the door assures nobody's looking directly at the entrance for the boys' dormitories, so walk out with the path clear.
Ah, the weather's good today.
I stretch. Actually, I need to stretch. Oh my god, my back. And I make our way outside. The bright morning sun beaming down on us. Wait, Did it change? Did this freaking thing had colors before? I'm not sure. Maybe Rin is still continuing the work on it. Okay. As I stretch... sorry. Okay, I read this. By now, a few students can be seen doing the same, making their way to the main school building either from the dorms or through the main gate.
It does feel nice and warm.
Our hands linked and her cane tapping the ground, we begin in earnest our trip to the school building and join the chatting throngs of students around us.
This would be the last day of exams, no?
Yeah. How are we going in them?
Very well, all things considered. You seem a bit stressed by them, for.
It's that obvious, huh? I don't think it's just the exams, for. A lot of stuff's been happening in a short amount of time, and I'm not doing that well in the humanities subjects.
You're doing well in science, for, aren't you?
Well, it would be hard not to do well in science for me. Wow, look at this guy. Come to think of it, did you say before that you weren't very good at science and maths? She suddenly looks very sheepish, my remark, no doubt heaving home. This sense of pride really can be a double-edged sword. I mean, hey, you can be good at that and not that great and the other. It happens.
Well, aside from that, have you ever given thought to what you might do with that ability? It seems a pity to waste it.
A bit, mostly at Muto's prompting. In any case, I'll probably end up doing science as a car in some form.
That's good to hear, Hisao.
As we enter the gardens, I suddenly receive an unsolicited pat on the back. The green-dressed culprit danced around to meet me, evidently not paying any heed to Lee at my side. Hey man! It's been a while. What's up? Haven't seen you in a while. Hey, just been busy late with the exams and stuff. Exams? A true renaissance man needs to no study to excel in such things. Kenji does strike me as the kind of person that does well in school. Even if he has a horrid attendance record and poor work ethic, so I've little reason to doubt his ability. I mean, he might be good. Anyway, to be honest, I'm a little envious of him. Between studying for exams and my time with Lilly, I've had practically no time to myself. Maybe it's a bit like how Yuko feels.
Good morning, Seto. It's good to hear you're doing well.
It feels slightly odd to see Lee speaking so formally. She's come to address me more casually over the months, though I have seen her speak more formally to classmates from time to time as well. Some people never change, I guess. Not that I'd say her calm and polite manner is a bad thing. It was one of the reasons I liked being around her to begin with, after all. Sorry. Okay, Kenji seems to take a while to work out who it is beside me and probably hasn't noticed us holding hands either. I wonder if those glasses actually do anything. Oh, hey Lily, good luck on your exams too. I'll see you after school then, man. Good luck with that. The slight edge to his voice makes me think those words are meant to be an imperative rather than a casual farewell. I guess I'll have to smooth things over later. Sure, see ya. Kenji nods curtly. He moves to pass by us, but he's too busy glaring in Lily's general direction to think of his cane. Oh! Before I can try to react and say the situation, Kenji trips and reflexively reaches out for a handhold. Unfortunately, said handhold turns out to be Lily's arm. Woo! Both fall to the ground in a sprawling heap, with me left feeling rather helpless. Ugh, damn. Are you two okay? Kenji quickly rises back up, seemingly unfazed by the accident. No problem, man. No problem. It's nothing. My body can take much worse. Abuse. I don't want to know. Lily lies face down in the grass. She doesn't look hurt by an instant, more startled than anything. I'm close to offer my help. Are you right, Lily? Hey, Sato! Kenji offers her hand, tentatively touching hers to let her know what he's doing. He says some odious things sometimes, but I do think he may be a genuinely good person at hand. I imagine he was pretty bad about this. To his pride and mindful, Lily pounds on the ground with her fist without warning.
Damn it!
Kenji freezes, entirely caught by surprise at her outburst. I'm just as shocked. She never acted like this before, not even around Shizune. Seemingly only now remembering that there are people around her, Lilly slowly climbs to her feet. Her face, as she does so, makes me retreat a little. I only catch a glimpse of her expression before she turns away, but it's not something I'll forget soon. She showed plenty of annoyance during her clashes with Shizune, but this flash of anger was something else. There is no way this is just about this petty incident. She paused for a moment before sighing and walking on ahead. I really don't know what to make of this. Talk to you later, dude. See ya. Yeah, see ya. Kenji scratches the back of his head, trying to find something to say, then shrugs and walks away, giving us wide berth. I quickly catch up to Lee. She turns her head to acknowledge my presence, but nothing else. I should probably scold her for lashing out like that. What? No. There's nothing to scold about. But I also don't want to get into a shouting match with her. She's still very obviously annoyed. In the end, I keep my mouth shut and wait for her to cool off. Probably the best solution of sorts. After a quick and quiet walk-in, we eventually reach the top of the third floor stairs and the junction where we part every day. I turn to Lilly before she leaves. While I do like the comfortable and warm silence we usually share, this was anything but. I don't want to leave things like this. You seem quieter than usual recently. Is anything wrong? She shakes her head almost automatically, as if to dispel any notion that I need to worry about her.
It's just the exams taking their toll. I'll be fine.
I don't think that's the reason. I very nearly say so, but decide against it. Yeah, also don't think that there is something she's not saying. Just like you basically not saying about you having problems while sleeping back there. Anyway, there is no point trying to throw it out of her if she doesn't want to tell me. Especially when she's in a full mood like this. If you're sure, then I'll see you later. As I turn down the hall to go to my classroom, Lee's soft voice rings out from behind me.
Hisao,
yeah?
I'm sorry.
What? With that, Lee makes off down the hallway to her own classroom, her hands shaking, skating along the metal railings. I stand still and watch her until she turns to her classroom and out of sight before going to my own class with further measure of reluctance. As usual, I'm early. Muto is fiddling with folders and papers on his desk as he prepares for the day while a handful of students mill about, chatting away. While my feelings about Lee haven't dissipated, far from it. Her mention of my exam performance did remind that I have my own life's journey to attend to. After thinking about it, I have realized that I do genuinely want to pursue science in some form as a career, rather than it simply being the path of least resistance. Until now, though, I didn't have much of an idea of where in the field I wanted to go. Just science is pretty broad category of jobs. Something Lee mentioned earlier focused my thoughts, something I'd only idly pondered about before. I did not seriously consider following this specific path. I walk up to Muto's desk, his attention to focus on preparing for a day's lessons notes my approach. It's the same every day. Good morning. He looks up with an expression of mild surprise that's quickly replaced by his typical awkward smile. Good morning, Nakai. Can I help you? Do you mind if I ask you something? He looks down at his messy pile of books on the desk, before putting down the papers in his hand and standing up with some difficulty to properly address me. That's what I'm here for, after all. Ask away. I was just wondering, what would you say is the motivation behind teaching? He thinks on this question for a few minutes before responding, evidently far from having a prepared answer. If you talk to 10 different teachers, I think you will get 10 different answers to that question. Well, I can only speak of myself. I'd say that I teach because... He sinks into thought again, carefully assessing the way he wishes to present his idea. Think of it this way. When you were a child, You probably played with sticks and pebbles in moving water such as the gutter or puddles, right? Yeah, I think a lot of people do that when they're young. Well, it's not just when they are young for some, for it does take on another form. My point is that when one is doing that, they are curious about how the water will flow or be changed. Everyone, even the young age, possesses an intense wonderment about how the world around them works, even in its smallest forms. I still feel that sense of wonderment about the universe. Even just reading about new discoveries or classic experiments gives me a renewed sense of awe at how marvelous everything is, from the farthest stars to the smallest puddle. I just hope that I give others even a small piece of that wonderment I feel. If I can do that, even if it's just for one person, I think I can be happy as the teacher. Fair enough. He scratches his head as he mentally reviews what he said. I feel like I understand him better now. Even if he's awkward around others, he does have a genuine want to be around them and offer them a piece of himself that he values. What Lily told me yesterday rings in my ears. I think you get on well with others, huh? She always did say I was unusually curious. Sorry if that was a little mandarin. Does it answer the question?
Does, thank you. I also had another question, actually.
What might that be?
Do you have any college brochures or guides? It's about time I started getting some applications in. He nods and bends down to look inside his desk. As he does so, I notice that he is wearing a remarkably genuine smile. I don't think I've ever really seen him act this natural around others. Perhaps this is Muto, the teacher, but rather Muto, the person.
Here, if you need more, feel free to ask.
He hands me about half a dozen brochures and booklets of various colors and sizes, which I take eagerly. Yes, it will be this information which I will use to forge my own future. I think now, after all this time and all these trials, I can finally start to see the big picture of my life ahead of me. My body may be like this, but my mind is still very much able. Thank you. I needed that intermission a little bit.
This is strange. That single thought has graced my mind a countless number of times since my life here began. It feels like an easy way to discard a troubling question, as if simply labeling something with those three words will make it go away, or at least not worth thinking about any further. My life before my heart attack feels more blurry every time I try to remember it, and my mind struggles to keep up with all the events suddenly happening around me since. I heard somewhere that this is what it feels like to be left stranded in a country with only the most basic understanding of the local language. It did. When I think about it, that seems a marvelously apt analogy for what's happened to me. But such situations are also supposed to make you very capable in that language very fast, as you're forced to learn it in order to survive, but put another way, the situation becomes sink or swim. I wonder if I've really managed to swim after all this time. The exams are stressing me out a lot, even though they are finally coming to an end, but I have remained in Muto's favor and I have some sort of direction for my future now. But I keep using that stupid, meaningless phrase. This is strange. It really is amazing how fast one comes to accept being surrounded by people with sometimes incredibly jarring disabilities and conditions. So much so that I really wonder why I feel so much like a foreigner. It certainly isn't for lack of socialization or friends. I've come to know most of my classmates on first name terms, and know a few others around the school. Whether they are missing an arm or leg, the students here are just like anyone else of their age. Yeah. I can navigate halls that I once lost myself in with an ease I did not expect it to ever have, thanks to the school's logical layout, and can engage my teachers in comfortable discussions. I swirl around gently in the tea in my cup, the reflected image of my face becoming distorted by the moving liquid. The strange, I used to hate drinking tea. That's not true. Maybe I'm thinking too much. The familiar sound of chain rattling from a teacup touching and a accompanying saucer rings out.
Is something the matter?
Oh, don't worry, it's not enough. I take a long sip of tea in front of me as the girls do. Just while away the time in this room sipping tea with her and Hanako, it feels familiar, almost nostalgic. So, how's your work in the newspaper club going, Hanako?
I want to know too. It sounds like it would be quite interesting.
Hanako's face turns down, the attention placed upon her, for her smile belies the fact that she genuinely likes being in the center of the interest, for the two of us.
It's good, I think. I'm getting better at it. Naomi and a couple of her friends handle most of the jobs, getting stories and stuff. I just do the computer things, like putting the stories together and getting it printed. It's nice since I can sit and concentrate.
Funnily enough, primary school for 2 years. Was it 2 years? Yeah, for 2 years. I've been in the newspaper kind of club as well. It wasn't really like additional activity, I guess, in the morning. Which was weird, but yeah, I had like my own area. Just sucky things happening around school, basically. Or should I say inside of school, but yeah. Or, you know, quick reports, whatever. But I also was kind of doing what Hanako is doing, basically. One time, for some reason, the person that was taking care of us in that supposed club somehow managed to print once every single thing created by everyone. So basically the entire paper, and deleted the files from the PCs. I don't know how she managed that to this day, but whatever. And I had to rewrite the entire thing in one freaking sitting. But then again, I was, at the time at least, compared to others, like a freaking machine on the keyboard. So yeah, it was kind of easy to manage. Anyway, back to the game. Maybe, Lynx, you don't need to talk about it. I see Lily's low-tech nature isn't shared by Hanako. While sitting in a room compiling other people's newspaper articles into documents doesn't strike me as overly outgoing. It is heartening to see her widening her circle of friends. Now that I think about it, we've been doing this newspaper in Word all the time. And while I was not quitting, I was graduating, we got a new IT classroom. Which of course happened when I left basically the freaking school. And I think they switched to publisher eventually. So yeah. Okay. Baby steps, I guess. It's probably a bit much to be expecting her to become a socialite. Like Lilly.
How are you finding Naomi? I've heard she can be quite troublesome at times.
And at least going to her mothering mode over Hanako. Letting go of her is something she's had to learn. Hanako scratches her cheek, thinking on her answer.
Naomi's nice. She's a bit loud sometimes, and a bit tiring, but she's really helpful. Her friends are nice too. That's wonderful to hear, Hanako. I'm glad you found a source of such enjoyment.
This smile is warm and genuine, but I can sense a touch of wistfulness to it as well. Hanako seems to mean that entirely, but I don't think for a second time imagining it. I suppose because I've slowly come to pay more and more attention to everything going on around me. With things seemingly happening faster and faster, it feels like I'll miss something if I'm not as observant as possible. With the exams, my newfound love life, trying to fit in some studying regarding my options for college and university, and my heart condition applying the brakes on everything at irritatingly random times, my brain's been in overdrive recently. It makes me appreciate that rare, quiet times such as these. I guess this is why Lily came to appreciate her weekly walks to the convenience store and her tea parties with Hanako, despite her lack of being surrounded by others. They gave her a moment of peace in a chaotic and busy life. Thank God the exams are over for, eh? The comment rose and earnest chuckles from both the girls. It seems like Brad's been a lot happier since the exams ended last week. I mean, yeah. So, what are you doing for the summer holidays? Hanako? Only? I quickly count the days in my head. Today is Monday, school finishes on Saturday. 5 days to go after all.
I was thinking of traveling just around a bit. There's a lot of places I want to see, and I think I have enough money to pay for the bus and train rides. Now, and one of the other girls in the newspaper club said they might come along too.
Nice. Her looks indicate she's given the matter quite a lot of thought. I'm surprised that she's contemplating something like this. But hey, nice. It seems she's really become intent on striking out her own.
Is there anywhere in particular you're thinking of going? I was thinking that Kyoto sounds nice. I think I'll try to go to a few places.
Lilly nods in approval, happy with Hanako's plans. While I cast my eyes to Lilly, I refrain from asking her the same question. She's been evasive with her plans for the future for a long time now, but I never seem to get a good time to broach the subject alone with her. Every time it comes up in conversation, it feels like she's either unsure of herself or simply dodging the question. It's troubling. Be sure to call sometime while you're out and about. I gave you my number before, right? Hanako gives a nod, a happy smile on her face. It's strange to see how happy people seem to become when they have a goal to work towards. Right? Yuko seems to brighten whenever her university aspirations are brought up, and now Hanako is just the same. So why do I still feel this uncertainty? And why Lilly too? Relationships really can be irritatingly troublesome sometimes. Yeah!
What time is it?
Well, it takes me a second to remember that Lilly's clock doesn't have any visual feedback. I really should know, given how many times I've been in her room. Nevertheless, I take my watch from my bag and quickly check it. The reason for her asking becoming clear. About 20 past 10, nearly curfew. Now, Hanako rises to her feet, dusting herself off and knitting her own after doing so.
I'd better get going then. Good night, Lilly. Hisao. Sleep well, Hanako.
See you tomorrow. With that, she walks to the door and quietly makes her exit. Silence. This seems to be happening more and more between Lilly and me recently. After a few seconds, I finally find something to talk about. Oh yeah. I talked to Muto on Friday and finally checked out some guides on college how to apply for it.
That's good news. If you're going to be applying for colleges, I assume you have some idea in mind on what you might do in the future.
I think I said not becoming a science teacher. It's going to take a while to get to university and everything to be qualified, but I think it will be worth it. Lily's face brightens considerably at the news, I suppose. With her wish to become a teacher, she's delighted. I think there's some kind of path.
So, you've decided on a career of teaching? I think that path suits you most excellently, Hisao.
I smile and nod. This time, even I know she can't see me doing so, I know she feels it.
I imagine Muto would have taken to the news well.
That's one word for it. Hey Lilly.
Yes?
I know you want to be a teacher, but... For a second I wonder whether I should really ask her the question on my mind, but that's quickly brushed aside by the fact that this is rather late to have second thoughts.
Surely you don't still think I'd be offended by something regarding my blindness?
Her accusing tone is betrayed by her grinning face. I'm used at my awkwardness in raising the topic. Some things never change. Good point, I guess. I was just thinking, whether or not being blind would be a hindrance, what with your ambition to become a teacher at all. She looks mighty surprised before giving the question some thought. I refuse to think she's never actually pondered this issue before.
I wonder, Hisao, could you close your eyes for a moment? I won't be able to read the text, okay?
Raising an eyebrow, I do as she requests. Yeah, eyes closed, guys. I have no idea what she has in mind, and my questions only increase as I peek out from one eye. Taking the black ribbon she usually wears in her hair from the cabinet beside her bed, she advances towards me while running it through her fingers to remove any stray hairs remaining on the piece of cloth. Do we have to cut this out? I suddenly click onto her attention as I feel the black strip make contact with my face, wrapping around my head and over my eyes. What exactly is this for?
It's a little test, Hisao. Since you seem to be wondering, I'll let you see things as I do for a time.
So that's what this is about. To be honest, this actually sounds kind of fun. Childish and rather silly to anyone who would be watching, but a bit of silly fun never hurt anyone. I stand up with a heave, my hands quickly moving out in front of me to warn me of any obstacles. Okay, now what?
Now touch.
If you say so, now then. I slowly make my way forwards, towards the sound of Lilly's voice. My walking speed could barely even be called a shuffle. The entire experience feeling alien enough that I don't want to risk inadvertently tripping over anything, such as her table or her haphazard piles of books. Something soft yet solid brushed against my left leg. Further inspection reveals it to be Lilly's bed. I move forwards, finding myself thankful that Lilly's room is so neat and tidy. Even the piles of books she has are generally kept close to the wall, well out of harm's way. The hard wall pressing against my outstretched hands make me furrow my brow in frustration. Hey Lilly, where are you?
What are you doing over there? I'm over here.
Lilly's voice comes from the other side of the room, far from where it was before, even to my untrained ears. If she's going out of her way to avoid me reaching her, then is this just a game to her? Of course it is. Compared to life where even the concept of sight is an abstract one, a few minutes in a blindfold are nothing. I guess she's made her point. She's more than capable of navigating her room. And further, I've seen how independent she is even when compared to many of the others in Yamaku. Well, even if it's just a game, I may as well play it wholeheartedly. With a pace much quicker than before, I move towards the source of her voice, deftly sidestepping the table in the center of her room thanks to remembering its position. I've got you now. She gives an impish giggle, one just long enough to work out that she's passing just beside me. I quickly turn around to face the new door. Ah, the table wasn't there before. Ow, ta 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 ta. I slowly step next to the table, raising my blindfold to wrap my aching head. Head? What? I give an irritated kick to the table that's sitting just in front of me where I fell. Utterly pointless, but the thing deserved it.
Hisao?
Lilly's still standing just to my side, obviously unsure of what's befallen me.
Sorry, I kinda fell over.
Are you hurt?
My head hurts, but I think I'm okay. I think the table moved in order to trip me over. Oh. She giggles as she walks over and takes a seat beside me, her hand resting on my own.
I suppose that's the end of that then.
I think so.
But I also think I get the point, for I do wish it hadn't involved such a headache. Lilly suddenly looks blank.
Point?
And I return an extraordinarily flat look. It was just for fun.
I just thought it might ease you apples about the subject. You always seem to tiptoe around it after all. In regard to teaching, Psi isn't that important. There are plenty of classes taught by entirely dumb teachers, and more than enough resources for me to learn the subject. It's as simple as that, really.
I slump my shoulders and give a snort of amusement. Yeah, I understand. I guess we'll both just have to work hard to reach our goals then. What is it? With a little hesitation, Lilly pushes forward her chin and closes her eyes in an unmistakable gesture. I accept gladly our lips touching, as they do. I suddenly feel her hands snaking up my chest from underneath my shirt. The feeling of her hand against my bare skin is enough to make my heart suddenly accelerate. So she's that kind of mood again. So, are we the kind of mood that would force me to erase a part of the video? We'll find out. Well, I'm hardly want to complain. She does genuinely like this, and even with all my medications, my video is thankfully still intact. Side effects, right. I lean to the kiss further, holding her hand tightly as I feel it tracing the contours of my chest. Eventually break off from one another, the room silent but for our briefing.
Hey, Hisao?
Yeah?
I don't suppose you could wear the blindfold again.
Yes! Her tentative suggestion takes me by surprise. I suppose she wants to introduce me to... I suppose she wants to find out what I'd be like during the act while hampered by the blindfold. With a measure of unease tempered by curiosity, I do as she says and lower the blindfold of my eyes. The world becomes dark once again. I can't say anything with a straight face, okay? The fact that this happens at that moment... Oh my god, that's so ridiculous. I stumbled backwards from Lilly with unseemly haste, clumsily hitting the back of my foot against the table again and falling to the ground with an unceremonious crash. Breathing wildly, I frantically scraped at the ribbon over my eyes as I lay on my back. I have to get this off. For a moment, everything goes blank, as the rush of newfound light assaults my eyes. My breathing slows from the brink of hyperventilation. Seconds pass, and I carefully measure out the rhythm of my heartbeats with every ounce of concentration I can muster. My heart is normal. It's back to normal. My body feels utterly bizarre as I lay dazed on the floor looking at the ceiling. The adrenaline from before is still pouring through my veins, but my mind is completely exhausted. I prop myself up as I hear Lilly getting out of the bed and coming towards me.
Hisao, are you okay? Hisao!
I'm fine, Lilly. I'm fine.
She gives a sigh of relief, her worthy expression collapsing. Her face afterward is the very last I'd ever want to see from her. Its face I detested when I first saw my parents in the hospital all those months ago.
Pity. Lilly pities me.
No, she's not. No. I just close my eyes and turn away powerless. I feel like throwing up. I can hear the sound of Lilly moving away and quickly attending to herself. The ruffling of her clothing being pulled back on after a moment of searching just barely audible.
Sorry.
She slowly shakes her head as she finishes buttoning up her top. Her kind smile looks so fragile, so delicate, that it makes my heart sink. Approaching carefully, she feels out the edge of the low table before taking a seat next to me, putting her arms around my chest.
I'm sorry, Hisao. I shouldn't have pushed my desires onto you.
Don't worry about it. You don't need to apologize. I'd normally be fine. You've seen that much before. I guess I shouldn't have tried to push myself so far. My eyelids feel heavy. Calmly sitting next to her like this is probably letting the adrenaline work itself out of my system and letting my mind relax.
So that's why you never took the lead.
Yeah, I guess you could think you like to, huh? The joke seems to lighten her expression, a fact which helps me feel less uneasy about my unreliable self. Lilly's head comes to rest on my shoulder as I struggle to keep my eyes open with more difficulty after each blink. I feel completely drained.
It's okay, Hisao. It's all okay.
No sooner does she say this than a small quiet tune escapes her lips. Entirely too tired to think, all I can do is listen to her soft humming. It's a soft, almost melancholic tune. It sounds familiar, but the more I try to remember its origin, the less I seem able to concentrate.
The feeling and scent of her head, gently resting on my shoulder, and her warm body against my side are soothing. The soft humming of her voice, too, relaxes my mind as much as her warmth relaxes my muscles. This singular, quiet moment, after all this fracas, it makes me realize just how exhausted I've become. I can feel my eyelids slowly becoming heavier and heavier. Even with the chaos of before, I wish this moment would last forever. Lilly and I together, sharing a single, solitary occasion together just as we used to. But if that's the case, why does she feel further away than she's ever felt before? Maybe we'll find out in the next episode of Katawa Shoujo. Hope to see you there. Hope you have a wonderful day, of course, and yeah. Bye bye.